It's Madness. What's good, y'all? Hope you're having a blessed day. Now, as we all know, March Madness is coming up, and that also means upsets are going to be coming up. It's going to happen. That's not even a question. The question is, who are the teams that are going to pull off these crazy upsets? And there's always going to be that one Cinderella team every single year that makes it way farther than anyone thought they would. Also, that same team that makes that quote-unquote Cinderella run gets no love or attention going into the tournament. To be quite honest, it's really hard to even predict the sleeper team. But however, with that being said, there's a team that really sticks out this year, and they're the best team that nobody is talking about. Before we get into that team, I just want to drop by real quick and say if you're new to this channel or you're just not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 100K, and without further ado, let's get into this video. I'm pretty sure most people watching this video remember Loyola Chicago's crazy run a few years ago. They were beating teams left and right, and they not only looked like they deserved to be there, but they looked like one of the best teams. So the question is, who is the team that can pull off what they did this year? That team this year is no other than Colgate, aka also known as the toothpaste school. We're gonna take a deep look at this team and roster and the stats, and it's gonna blow your mind away. For starters, their record heading into this tournament was 14-1, and they finished 11-1 in their conference. So yes, they didn't play as many games as most other schools, but in the games they played, they were really good. The best player on this team without a question is Jordan Burns. He's averaging a solid 17 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, and over 5 assists. Not too bad if you ask me. One crazy stat line about Jordan himself is that he's shooting 40% from the field, which isn't that great, but he's shooting 42% behind the three-point line. That's not normal. Your three-point percentage should not be higher than your overall field goal percentage. Just keep that in mind though, because we'll touch on that later in the video. Here's what's going to separate this team though. Most teams in this tournament have 2 to 3 main scorers and main players. But the Colgate Raiders have 4 players that are averaging double figures, and it's almost 5. Burns is averaging 17 points per game. Ferguson's averaging 12.6, Cummings is averaging 12.3, Richardson is averaging right at 11.7, and the guy who's close to 10, Keegan Records, is averaging 9.3. They're not a one-dimensional or a one-player team. They got 3 to 4 and maybe even 5 guys that can beat you. In most cases, these smaller schools have 1 player, maybe 2 at max, that carry them to this tournament. With that being said, that's why this team is completely different. They're the definition of a good team. They don't just have 1 to 2 or even 3 guys. They're really deep on the bench too. I understand some people watching this haven't bought in just yet, but just wait until you hear this. Remember how I told you the star player is shooting better behind the three-point line than he is everywhere on the field combined? Well, that's not just a coincidence. That's the remedy for this team. This team is shooting over 40% behind the three-point line. That's their average. Heading into the NCAA tournament, that's 3rd best in the entire country. Therefore, I think you know where we're about to go with this. If they're one of the best at shooting the 3, they're also the best at scoring. And yes, if you guessed that, you would be correct, because they are 2nd in the country in points per game at 86.3. This team can score the ball, and if you want to win games, you better be able to score. Times have changed. Maybe in 2010 you could have won with a defensive team, but now you got to be able to shoot, and they can do just that. But hold on, you're probably thinking, hey, I bet they're not that good at defense, and you'd also be wrong. They're holding their opponents to 68.6 points per game, and that is 125th in the country. Then to top that off, and this is one of the craziest stats in my opinion, they're one of the best at shooting the 3-ball, right? Well, they're also the #1 team in the country in defending the 3-ball. They're holding their opponents to only 26% from 3. They're 2nd best at points per game and top 3 in their 3-point percentage, and they're really solid on the defensive end. that's a recipe for success. Also too, that's a recipe for upsets. Do not get it twisted. Is this a flashy team? No, they're not going to have a lot of highlight plays and a lot of dunks, but they're going to do enough to get the win. I wouldn't say they're the most fundamentally sound team in the tournament, but they're only averaging 10 turnovers per game, and that's not too bad. They're going to shoot a ton, and I mean a ton of threes, and they're also going to play really good defense. And here's what makes them really, and I can't stress this enough, really dangerous. Even if you don't think their defense is one of the best, at worst it's okay. But let's say they're having a bad defensive game. Well, that's not a problem because offensively, they're one of the best in the entire tournament. So even if you are hitting shots and you're on your A game against this team, they're probably still going to have a chance to win. A player I want to touch on too that hasn't started a single game, but he's averaging over 12 points per game is Jack Ferguson. Yes, this number is correct. Jack is shooting 51.5% on 3-point attempts this year. I'm not going to say too much more about that. You can understand how good he is at shooting. All I'm going to say is, if he shoots a 3 ball, more than likely it's going in. He's shooting over 50%. That means that you could flip a coin and he'd still have a better chance of making a 3 ball than you would of landing that coin on heads or tails. Okay, I think we've said enough and talked enough about this team. So let's look at how they stack up in this tournament and who they're going to play. First things first, I think if they can get past this Arkansas team, the road to advancing even farther will actually be easier. They do have a tough matchup, like I just said. They're playing Arkansas first, but I think they're built to beat this team. Arkansas is a good defensive team and they have a star player known as Moses Moody, but if they shut him down and shoot good enough, I think they have a good chance at winning. Then let's look at their next opponent. They'll either play Texas Tech or Utah State. Right there, you're going to have an easier opponent because it's going to be a 6 or 11 seed. Let's say Texas Tech wins. Texas Tech does have some big time players, but Colgate has more players that are more efficient. Then they will either be playing more than likely Florida, Virginia Tech, or Ohio State, and I'm going to say it's Ohio State. That will be a tough game, and all these will be a tough game. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say they're going to pull off every single upset, but I think they have the best chance at doing so out of all those schools no one's talking about. The way this team is set up and the way they've played, they're just built for upsets. One of the best offensive teams and a very good defensive team. Heading into this video, I was doing a lot of research on those small teams no one's giving any love, and I think without a question, and it's not even close, this is the best one. Even if they lose their first game, I still know people are going to come back to this video and say I'm crazy, but just because they lost, it doesn't mean they had the best chance or they're not one of the best teams no one, like I can't emphasize enough, is talking about. Could they lose their first game? Yes, more than likely. They're not even projected to win. All I'm saying is keep your eyes open for this team, because if they make a run, I would not be shocked. Let me know in the comment section down below who your sleeper team is. I'm very curious. But with all that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family. Hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 100K. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.